Today on Console Empires, we're going to check out 10 differences between the console and PC version of Age of Empires 2. In this video, I'll show you what's unique about playing AoE 2 on Xbox, explain how some features behave a bit differently than what you might be used to on PC, and run through the biggest omissions from the console release. First up, there's no automatic way to snap the camera back to your previous point of view. The closest thing on console is that you can set navigation waypoints, which let you snap to arbitrary points on the map, and the game can generate those for you automatically, but it's kind of awkward on controller if you say misclick away from a fight and there's no way to just undo and jump back there. But here's something you can do on console that you can't do on PC. Controller players have a hotkey for selecting monks, or sheep. A lot of PC players still kind of assume that micro-heavy units like monks would be useless on console, but that's actually not at all the case. This shortcut, when combined with selection filters, makes monk play completely accessible on controller. A caveat though, the trigger for whether you're going to select a monk or a sheep seems to be if you've built a monastery. Which makes sense, right? Until you play mega random and you start with one. And then your starting build order is totally awkward because you can't quickly select your sheep with the same hotkey that you've got muscle memory for now. Our third difference is that there's no equivalent command for alt-click. On PC, this can be used to force units to attack behind a foundation, or control which units are selected in a marquee. And as far as selections, controller players do get a robust set of tools for this, and a couple of unique settings that can make those selection filters even more powerful and effective, but I still find myself missing alt-click. A couple of appendices to this point here, there's no way to alt-G in-game, castles won't shoot walls, and deleting stuff takes forever, and you can't customize your keybinds. Difference 4? The console UI shows how many resources are held by a group of villagers. This is especially helpful for the Chinese or Aztec start, where you're going to need to do more force drops, but it's also just easier to time them in general, so you'll know the perfect time to drop off when you want to age up without having to guess. Another unique feature for controller players, you can actually do those force drops with one click. On controller, if you hover over the TC and use the site menu, the villagers will drop off the resources and automatically go back to work, all just with one action, saving a few clicks compared to dropping it off manually or having to garrison and ungarrison. But be careful though, if you're doing this with sheep, the villagers don't always return to the same one, so an additional sheep can end up being killed and you'll lose additional food to decay that way. To kick off our second half, the console minimap changes size. I actually didn't like this initially, as the expanded size seemed way too big. And while it's still a bit large for my taste, I've actually really come to like the functionality of being able to quickly access the mega map. On Xbox, you get unique icons for each resource too, so this can help with situations like finding a boar that's hard to see behind a wall or a tree line. Another difference on the minimap, while you can click a point to jump to it just like on PC, console also has a fast pan command, which lets you move the camera more quickly when the minimap is open. Number 7, Xbox players can't access the scenario editor and can't even play custom maps. So no CBA, no Rage Forest, and console tournaments have to be played on standard maps only. I kind of get that reworking the scenario editor to be controller friendly would be kind of a bear, but at the same time, other console games have user-generated content and map editing tools. Our 8th difference, the age shield flashes when you're able to research the next age. I really like this feature, as who hasn't lost a game by realizing a few minutes later that not only are you still in feudal, but in fact, haven't clicked yet. On the flip side though here, Xbox players don't have any way in-game to quickly access the tech tree. While PC players can hover over their Civ emblem to see an abbreviated tech tree overlay, there's no way to do this on Xbox. Which brings us into number 9, lacking access to a quick tech tree especially hurts when you consider how it takes a long time to open any menus in the game. If you want to chat, send resources, or check that tech tree, you have to wait through an incredibly slow transition animation. Which does look pretty cool, but this might not just be a decoration, but rather an attempt at hiding some loading time. Interestingly though, there is a quick menu shortcut for taunts, which taunts are fun, but in my opinion, it would be way more useful if that button command was used for a quick tech tree instead. Last but not least, auto eco. Controller players can manage their economy by selecting a preset or manually adjusting resource ratios. At release, there was a pretty broad outcry from PC players claiming that this was going to ruin the game, but it's actually pretty reasonably balanced. There are situations where the automation is strong, but in others it's a big misplay. And generally, auto eco is more useful for lower elo players who are less likely to venture out onto the cross input ladder anyway. Interestingly, the console release of AoE 4 actually takes this a bit further and allows automatic villager creation. Bonus difference, Xbox players don't get Siege Elephant. Talk about the elephant in the room. Imagine selling a new DLC, adding 3 entirely new units, before giving console players access to the units that they already paid for. That'll do it. Those are 11 things that are different for Age of Empires 2 players on Xbox. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm asking once again for your subscription. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.